One of the first things I want to do is straighten that back end up, and a fitter friend is going to help me do it. Said the best way to do it is to heat it up, and to do that I have to get that plastic guard off, so pull it apart first, and easy enough, there's a bolt going through there, just a little nut and a lock pin, so I took that out. It looks like it's a bigger nut inside there, so it shouldn't be too hard. Just going to pull the bolt out, 17mm on this side, so everything looks good. Just to make sure there's not more thread inside, I checked in the parts manual, and number 27 there is just a straight out bolt. So first off I tried the rattle gun on it and it just wouldn't move, so penetrated it all, rattle gunned it some more, still no movement at all. My neighbour lent me a big breaker bar and a 6-sided socket. It wouldn't move. Really want to twist the head off, so I penetrated the whole lot some more and went and left it overnight. That gave me a chance to have a think of how I'm going to go about this. Obviously it's stuck or rusted or something, so I come up with this double nut idea. If I put double nuts in there, the bolt head will just be poking out. I can smack it with a hammer and it shouldn't bend the bolt head. It's only 8mm. Shouldn't bend it or twist it or something like that. I should be able to save it and just smack away. So that's all looking good. It's been penetrated all night. Got the double bolt on there. At least it'll get some movement happening, and then once it starts moving I can work on it from there. Still, the rattle guns have done nothing with it being soaking overnight. There's not a lot of room to get in there, but I will do it with the back of a chisel. Well, that didn't do anything, so I've come up with another idea. If I put the bolt on there and I screw it in as the second nut, the energy from that bolt will go directly into the other bolt, and it should transfer the energy better and be a better hit. So it'll be all lined up nice, but it's only got a small area there to hit it with a hammer. So we'll see how this goes. Well, 2 bent bolts later, and having snapped the head off the bolt in there, I've made very little progress. It's not much happening at this stage. I really want to heat it up, but the shock absorber says clearly do not heat me up, so that's not an option. I've gone for inspiration by dragging out these old ice cream containers of leftover projects, and this is what I've come up with. If I screw that on, I can bang it, that it'll transfer the energy. I've made a little bit, got 2mm happening so far. So if I put that on there, the theory is I'd better use of energy transferring and not bugger things up so much, because I really dislike banging things like shock absorbers or anything like this, because it just, where does that energy go? It's got to be taken up by everything else, so I'm not enjoying this. Just a side thought, if that's seized in there, that means that the shock absorber is not hinging on the swing arm there, therefore the only movement you're going to get is bending the shock absorber shaft. So it has to be maintained. I'm making progress slowly, but it's just a lot of hits, and it's like a 1/2 mil each time, if that were 1/10 of a mil. There's a lot of rust on this side, and every time I spray with penetrating, it dribbles out, rusty covered. So the day's over, it's night time, so I'll just clean it all up, penetrate it again, fill this side with it a little bit and let it sit there for a bit. Then I laid the bike on the other side, put some on there, and hopefully it soaks through, and I'll see what happens tomorrow. Another night of thinking about what I can do. I've pulled out a couple more containers of leftover metal, and I'll just rattle through that lot, see if I can find more inspiration. And what I've come up with this, if I put that tube over the 17mm bolt head and it fits inside the inspection hole there, I should be able to then lay the bike down, and when I hit it on the other side, not transfer the energy through the shock absorber, but transfer it through that tube so that it has a more direct line and there's just not so much movement. So I've laid the bike down. There's nothing underneath it touching that's of any importance. There's a couple of bricks there to support it. Nothing, the shock absorber's not touching. Handlebars have a little bit of movement in them. The gear lever's fine, the foot peg's fine. The tube is sitting on those bricks, so I'm happy with that. We'll go with that. As you'll see, that this is a much better way for direct energy going through. When you hit the hammer, it goes right through and just pushes on that bolt. But the bolt's so short now sticking out, because I have made like 15 minutes progress, that I've got to use this bar to get there, and it's just not a good way to do it. Though the bike's solid, it's sitting there, nothing's moving, and that energy is definitely going under that bolt. Now the problem is when you have a look underneath there, that the tube is starting to ride up onto the swing arm there, and it's bending one end over as it curls around. So I have to keep an eye on that, and how I'm going to get it out. Now that the bolt's starting to come out the other side, there's a hole to put something into. So my neighbour gave me this, and it's a bit of valve, cut-off valve off a truck. It's 11mm wide, and you've got time to wrap a bit of tape around it to bring it up to 12. It seats itself in there nicely, and it's just a matter of just keep hitting it. I've hit it 100 times, just keep hitting it. It moves point something of a mil each time. It's just a lot of hits. I've smacked it down enough that it's 50mm, the bolt head sticking 50mm out the other side now, and also, yes, I notice I have hit the exhaust a few times. Don't know how it's so far away. Anyway, the tube's sitting on there, it's bent the thrush washer, so there's some more damage I have to repair. Now I've got to get that tube off, but it's flanged out, and there's just no way it's coming out of that hole now, so there's another problem to add to the list. Two days work for that, and I call this fun.